ici, moi, ça
Oui. Bonjour. Ouais, ça va et vous?
Mr. Al-Khair, good afternoon, everybody. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the pre-match official press conference of the Senegal team for the FIFA World Cup Qatar 2022, the round 16. Match number 51, England-Senegal, due to take place tomorrow, Sunday, 4 December, at 10 p.m. in Al Bayt Stadium. Let me welcome on board the assistant coach, Mr. Regis Bogaert, and the goalkeeper, number 23, Alfred Gomis. The head coach, Aliou Cisse, he is not feeling well. He has been sick for 2 days. Thank you. Before we get started, as usual, we have some reminds. Please, if you have to ask a question, introduce yourself, wait for a microphone, raise your hand, and your name and the organization. Please make sure that your mobile hotspot has been disabled. Switch off your mobile phone or put them on silent mode. Translation is available in the screen for the FIFA interpreting application. Please, one question per journalist. Photographer, please, you are allowed for the 5 minutes, and afterwards, I kindly ask you to leave the room, please. Before giving the floor for your question, please allow me to ask both coach and player for, as an opening statement, what's your expectation for tomorrow's match, please?
Alors pour le moment, on est plutôt serein.
Well, we're feeling calm and confident. I think we'll get more and more excited as the match gets closer. But generally, you have to try and remain calm and relaxed and focused on the objective before this type of game. And our objective is obviously to get through to the next round. So that's what we're focusing on. So we're not too excited. We're trying to keep relaxed, and we're trying to ensure that we remain as calm as long as possible.
Oui, demain, ça va être un match.
Yes, it's going to be a very important game tomorrow. So, of course, we're trying to train as hard as we always do and focus on this very key game. And I'm sure we're going to be ready for the match. It's going to be a tough game, but of course, we're going to do everything to play as well as we can.
The floor is yours, please.
Bonjour, Michael Caron, le journal du dimanche.
Gaël Caron, Le Dimanche. And a question for both of you. 20 years ago, almost all of the Senegalese players played in the French league. Practically half of them now play in England. So does that mean that they know the English football better than the French? Well, I wouldn't say that exactly. I would say that many of these players, when they play in France, they dream about going to England. That's because we know that the English league is a very attractive one now. And an experience that some of our players have of regularly playing the players in the opposing team, and hopefully that's going to be helpful for us tomorrow. We know that the English league is a very attractive one and very competitive as well. And they have a very good team as well, a national team with some of the best players in the world. But Senegal has Senegalese players, whether or not they play in France or England. And that's what's important for us. They all want to play at international level. And I think that shows that they're all keen to come and play for Senegal. Thank you, Bakary Cissé from L'Accord. Coach, congratulations on getting this far. And my question is it a good idea to put a player on the front post at corners? In 2018, we saw that Sabali didn't come out quick enough. And would it be a good idea to put a player on the front post because we know how strong the English players are on corners with heading? That's one of the things we worked on most in training. Obviously, it's a team which is very strong in many areas. And we've studied the different types of set plays that they employ, and on set plays tomorrow, we're going to try to adopt the best possible strategy on the basis of all of that analysis. So yes, we've identified some things, and the most important thing is to say that set pieces can be decisive in these top matches, and we also hope to take advantage of set pieces and try and cause problems for our opponent, whoever the players are and however they are. But our strategy is in place. Good afternoon. West France, with a question for both of you. 2 African nations have qualified for the second round, and they played a major role in the key games. They've won matches, and is this good for African football in current football landscape? Yes, and I think it's a trend that we've been seeing for some time now, and I hope that's the case anyway. And I talk about this regularly with the coach, and I think it's a trend that we're going to see more and more. In 2018, we heard a lot of criticisms because no African teams got to the second round, and now we've seen 2, and 2 others almost got there. Ghana, Cameroon, even Tunisia had a chance until the last minute to get through. So I think we're seeing progress, and that also, I've been in Africa for quite a long time now, and I think it's also due to the capacity that African teams have to develop their own African identity, and with African coaches very often as well behind that, and that's also very important. I know European and African football very well, and I'm convinced that in not too long now, in the near future, African teams are going to go very, very far in World Cups. Semni Biabe from Tunisia. And I'm sorry, I have a question in Arabic.
Coach, I have a question to you, sir, and then to Alfred. You talked about the African football. How did you see Tunisians play against France? And will this give you a motivation and incentive to win against a main squad? Question also, what's your message to Jalal Qadri after getting out of course, being eliminated? Did you also watch the Tunisia-England match? Also, question to Alfred. Good afternoon, Alfred. I want to ask about Bono's, of course, substitution with Mohammadi. How did you react to that as a goalkeeper? And good luck for tomorrow.
Well, I think the message is a very strong one, and that is we've seen that Cameroon can beat Brazil, Tunisia can beat France, and so we know that Senegal can beat England. At any rate, that's what we're aiming for. And I think that's a very important message that we've taken on board. And for the Tunisians, well, 4 years ago, we were knocked out of the World Cup on the basis of yellow cards by Japan, who had fewer yellow cards. And so we weren't far away. And yes, now we need to focus on our African identity. We need to consolidate that identity. And we need to be positive about the experience that we're having. 4 years ago, we went through that experience. But since then, the keep has grown and the team has grown. We lost a final, but then we won a final. And so our team is developing and becoming more mature. And our coach has said that a number of times, that maturity is very important at international level. So African teams need to be ambitious. And they are good enough to go head-to-head, eye-to-eye with anybody. And we're capable of beating anybody. And we've seen that now. So when we go onto the pitch, we need to be convinced of that. And I think that's one of the major changes that we've seen. And that's something that African coaches are working on very hard.
Oui, j'ai vu les changements.
Yes, I saw Bono was replaced just before the match. And according to what the journalist said, it was a fitness issue. But I saw that he is back. So obviously that's good news for him. And he's going to be able to help the team as he's always done. Good afternoon. Manuel Bon again, a question in French for the coach. I just want to come back to this serenity, this relaxed attitude that you talked about. You beat Egypt on penalties in the African Cup of Nations and in the playoffs, and then you won because you weren't as afraid of losing as the opponent, perhaps. So you seem to be confident, and we see that Senegal is becoming a very confident side. Yes, there are two aspects I could put that down to. I think the coach has many qualities, and one of those is conveying that sense of confidence to his players. And he's played a very important role in that respect. And when he talks, he uses data and he uses his own experiences. He was part of that great team in 2002. So I think the team really trusts him because of that experience that he had as a player. He also has some players who are progressing because they play in top clubs. And the coach says that very often. He says that to our players. The more you play in top clubs around the world, the more you will become mature and top-notch players. And that's what we're seeing now. Something else that's very important is that when the squad is functioning properly, the more mature players need to pass on their experience to the younger ones and to help them grow very quickly into the role. And then you also pick up experience by playing matches. And there are 7 or 6 rather, because Sadio's not here anymore, who played in the World Cup before. But many of our players have also played in the African Cup of Nations and even won it. So we've got experienced players. And we all know that nothing can replace experience.
ABC, I'll ask this in English. And Coach, you mentioned about data, but looking at 2018, 2019 AFCON, the last 15 minutes of the game have always been crucial, and in terms of the management and the team conceding, happened in your opening game. But how has that been, worked on such that the game management late into an encounter is well taken care of and works in favor of the team?
Alors, il y a une...
One important thing that we've been working on is how to react to different scenarios within a match. Sometimes you need to be more ambitious, you need to be on the front foot to attack and to take the game to your opponents. But we have a very mature squad, and we have players who are capable of reacting in different ways according to how a match changes. And that's very important because you know that in the last 15 minutes of a game, some teams are going to take risks. They're going to push men forward to try and score and take risks. And something that's very closely linked to the intensity of a match. You talked about the match against the Netherlands, but I think that was a very intense game. But it was also a game where we saw great concentration on the part of our players. And we are experienced enough to know that you mustn't lose concentration because of stress. Sometimes if you do lose concentration, it's because of tiredness. And so that's an important aspect to bear in mind. Some teams take great risks towards the end of matches. And sometimes they also tire. And so that also gives you sometimes opportunities in matches that you need to take advantage of. So we also want to show that we can also take advantage of those mistakes that may crop up towards the end of matches, and do that so that we can win games.
Mira, there's a question in English for the coach. 20 years ago, Senegal had a historic victory in the World Cup over France, who were the holders then. What would a victory over England tomorrow mean to Senegal and to the team, and would it eclipse that victory? And also on the coach, Aliou Cisse, you said he's unwell. Can we ask what is wrong with him? Has he been able to take training for the last couple of days? And more importantly, will he be in the dugout tomorrow?
Oui,
Yes, he's been sick for a couple of days now, and he let us take charge of training yesterday, obviously with his instructions that we got across to the players. And hopefully tomorrow he will be able to come and be on the bench with the players, but we are sure that at 10 p.m. tomorrow he will be there with the team. That's for sure. Yes, beating England would be a tremendous achievement. I don't know how important it would rate compared to the victory in 2002. That was an important victory as well, but I'm sure it's almost as important. And I'd say for all of the players, the objective is to show that we are capable of playing one of the top 5 teams in the world. They are number 4, I think, but if we can beat a team like that, then that sends out a very strong message of the progress that we have made.
محمود عصام يلا كرة من مصر.
Mahmoud Assam from Cora platform. My question, the experience of Sadio Mane, could it be transferred to your players, or did he sit down with the players to explain to them and give them advice ahead of the game against England? Thank you.
Bien sûr que Sadio.
Of course, he's a very important player for our squad and for our country. And the fact that he's missing, Keita Balde, Bonassa are also missing, and they're also important. But Sadio is one of our leaders, and he always stays very close to players in the team. He's in contact with us, with practically all of the players, actually. And so, yes, he has a role to play, even if he's not actually out there on the pitch.
Bonjour, c'est.
Good afternoon. Coach, could you give us some news of Aliou Cisse? Well, in fact, you've already talked about it a little bit, but I'm from the Echo. How is Shekou Kouyaté in terms of his fitness? And we didn't see Sabare training either. Could you tell us anything about them? And Obelis. I can confirm that Aliou Cisse is sick and he had a little bit of a temperature. So that's why we have to be careful with his situation. Giroud is recovering, and the match tomorrow might come a little bit too early for him. But Sabali and Mendy, obviously, we're getting a lot of matches in a short space of time. So to recover, some players actually need to get back very quickly. Others need a little bit more time to recover off the pitch. So it depends on the player. And for these 2 players, at any rate, they are now fit and available for the match.
Garmacho, I'm a freelancer. There seems to be a large presence of here, coach.
You.
Here. There seems to be a large presence of African fans in the stadiums compared to the previous World Cups, of course, except South Africa 2010. Have you noticed that, both of you? If yes, how important is this large presence of African fans in general and Senegalese fans in particular in the stadium tomorrow for this crucial encounter? Thank you and good luck.
Oui.
Yes, I think any team, any footballer loves to know that there's going to be a lot of support in the stadium. And our supporters are easily recognizable in the stadium. We can always see them. They know, and we know how important they are for us. And what you said is true. There are other African supporters supporting us as well from other countries in Africa, and that's very important for us. We went to see England against Wales just after qualifying, just to try and get an idea of how they played. And we saw there were a lot of English fans too. So hopefully tomorrow all of our Senegalese fans will get tickets, and all of those African fans will be supporting us as well. I think Africa is getting stronger and stronger. And we won the African Cup of Nations, of course. So we're African champions, and that's why we're getting a lot of support as well. And we're seeing a lot of support from Morocco as well. There's been a lot of support for Ghana, for other African teams here as well at the World Cup. But the whole of the continent is following this World Cup, and that's great. And it's very good for us, and it's good news for Africa.
Bonjour, coach.
Good afternoon, Coach. Alfred Messen, Senegalese journalist for Sport Inter. And I have a question for Alfred. I don't know if you read the newspapers or you listen to media reports, but some French news outlets thinks that you're going to get knocked out and talk about a France-England quarterfinal. Do you read those reports? And what effect does it have on you as players? We try and read the newspapers as little as possible. But of course, we do get wind of some of them. And honestly, I hope that the English are going to underestimate us as well. And we're going to surprise them. That's at least what we're looking for. That's what we're hoping for. But, journalists write whatever they like. And we know that players know the opposing team very well. And we have great respect for them. So whatever you read in the newspapers, teams respect each other, and the match is something else.
Please.
Bonjour, coach.
Oliver Pri, RFI. Some of the French press also thinks that Senegal get through to the quarterfinals against France. Thankfully, there are some of us who have faith. Many players play in England, as has been noted. And how has that affected the way of training in the last couple of days? Do you talk with those players a little bit more than with the others? Has that had an impact? Yes, we've talked with some of those players a little bit. And some of them are the more senior players in the team as well. So with those players, we talk about it a lot more. And it's true that it's important to have that knowledge of the players in the opposing team. But what's also important for us, it's true that there are differences between the way in which players play in their clubs, where they have coaches with a particular way of playing, a particular style. And the England team has also changed its style recently as well. And then the way in which players play in their national team, which is something different. But yes, we have talked about those issues. And we've understood a few key things, and we've identified some key strengths and weaknesses among players. L'équipe, a question again in French. We talk a lot about the unity of the team. And over the years, have you felt a strong bond develop between the players in your team? That's a question for Regis. And now it seems to be reaching a culmination, even without Sadio Mane. Yes, I think we've seen that unity now for some time now, and the coach needs credit for that, because he's been focusing on not only the qualities of individual players, but also the more psychological aspects. And when we're together as a team, we're like a family. I think it's very, very important, and we get that across when we play. We fight for each other, and we are proud to represent our country, because we know that our country needs us out there. And it's not pressure we put on ourselves, but I think it makes us stronger. Yes, just to confirm that. I agree. I think it's absolutely vital for Aliou Cisse that this squad works together and progresses together. And as Alfred said, I think we often talk about being a family, and that's very true. We know that in a family, some things are sorted out within the family, and there are principles and rules that apply within the family. And it took maybe some time to get that in place and get that widely accepted. But another thing is important is that when the rules are very clear within a family, when you have big brothers and little brothers, and everybody knows their role within the family, but everyone agrees that they need to respect the rules, that gives extra strength to the family. And Aliou Cisse was around in 2002 as a player, and he experienced that, and he realized that it was a great sporting adventure, but a great human adventure as well. And that's why it's so important to involve the whole squad in that adventure. And we need to have this whole squad enjoying the atmosphere and the adventure. Every player needs to feel like they are playing a role as well. And I say to them always, you won't leave this World Cup the same player you were when you started it, because a World Cup has a great impact on you as a player and as a person. And this World Cup will make them stronger and stronger. And the longer we stay here, the stronger they'll get.
محمود عبد الله صحفي مصري من العين الإخبارية.
Mahmoud Abdallah from Ain Ikhbariya. Hello, coach. My question: in the 2018 World Cup in Russia, Senegal with Sadio Mane wasn't able to move on to the knockout round. Today, Sadio Mane is injured, and Senegal was able to qualify. Can we say that your team is able to perform with or without Sadio Mane?
Oui.
Well, the answer to that is yes, we can play without him. And I think they've shown that. And there are two reasons for this difference. I think the thing is, in 2018, things were very different. We started by winning our first match. We lacked a little bit of experience, perhaps. But we won that first match. And then played a match against Japan, where we knew that if we won, we would qualify. And we had chances, but we didn't manage to take them. And so in our third match, it was a tough assignment because we didn't know if we were going to get the result that we needed, which was a draw. So we didn't really know whether to play for a draw or to play to try and win the match. This year, we didn't ask ourselves any questions. When we got to that final match against Ecuador, we knew that we had to win. And that was very clear in our minds. And for a football team, the clearer things are, the more you know what you need to do, the easier it is to prepare.
Hello. Hello, can you hear me? Jon from Danish broadcaster TV2. I have a question for both of you. Can you put some words on what Aliou Cisse means for Senegalese football, what he has done for Senegalese football?
Je pense que...
Well, I don't think he needs any more introduction. I think you can see everything that he's done for Senegalese football. And it's a tremendous achievement. He's the first manager who's managed to get the African Cup of Nations for Senegal. He got to World Cup as a captain in 2002, and He got to the final of the African Cup of Nations as a player, and then he won it. And he's got Senegal qualified for the World Cup twice in a row. So that's a tremendous achievement. But of course, he's not alone. There are various elements in place now to ensure that we go out there and can do as best as we can. So there are also efforts being made in selection, and he's chose a good group. He's responsible for choosing the squad, and I think he's made some good choices for Senegal. And now out there on the pitch, we're trying to pay him back for the effort that he's made and that he's still making. And then his second strong point is a capacity to learn and then to apply the lessons that he learns. And that is very, very useful in terms of progressing as a squad. And then his third strong point, if you like, is that he always tells you directly what is in his mind. And that for footballers is very important. He's frank, he's honest with players, and I think players appreciate that. If he likes them and appreciates what they're doing, he will tell them. And if he has to tell them something less easy to take, then he does so as well. And then lastly, I would say that, yes, he will leave his mark. He's had time now to leave that mark on the Senegalese team, because he's been in the role since 2015. And if you look around the world, there are few national coaches who remain in their post for that long.
For Senegal team at Duhail, training site number 2, you'll be open to the media for the first 15 minutes. At training is at 6 p.m. Thank you. Thank you for coming. Thank you for your attention. Thank you, Coach.
Thank you very much.
Ok.
Je te donne le certificat médical.
Ah oui, c'est bon, c'est bon. Oui, c'est bon.
Tu mets ça dans la...
Oui, dans la...
Ok, merci.
Merci à vous.